In this video we're going to be taking a look at anchoring using an open moor. It's a technique that applies just as much to small personal boats as it does to large ships. The open moor is used when you anchor in an area with wind and or tide that's fairly consistent from a uniform direction. The idea is that using two anchors rather than one will provide much better holding and reduce the chance of swinging around. So how do you do an open moor? Well, you need to start off by getting a lay of the land, so you need the nature of the seabed, the direction that the wind or tide is consistently coming from. You want to know your anchoring position and how much cable you're going to want to end up with. Next, just plot your approach with the weather between 4 and 6 points on your starboard bow. You're going to want to be going nice and slow, but still keep enough speed to maintain steerage. The key thing is though, it needs to be slow enough that when you drop the anchor, it's not going to be damaged or anything like that. You're going to want to be approaching the point where you'll drop your first anchor, and this is going to be the weather anchor, so the anchor that's on the side of the ship that all the weather is coming from. Once you let that go, just continue running ahead, reducing the speed slowly and altering your heading a bit. You want your course over the ground to be perpendicular to the direction of the weather. Effectively, you want to be crabbing across from your first anchor towards the second anchor's position. Once you've crabbed for a third of the final length of the cable, so this is why you need to know the total cable length, you let go the leeward anchor, so the one on the other side. At similar time, you want to snub on that weather anchor, so it's going to come nice and tight, and as the cable gets tight, it's going to take off the final bit of your headway. It's going to grab your bow and pull it around straight in the direction of that first anchor. As you spin around, the weather is going to start to push you backwards, and you're going to kind of lay back onto that first anchor. As your boat is laying backwards though, pay out that second anchor just so that you even up those cables. You want them to both get to the same length. Once you're there, pay them out together until you've paid out the full amount of cable that you're going to want to use, and you're happily sitting there with two anchors, roughly 1 point on the bow on either side, with all the weather right in front of you. Getting away from an open moor is quite simple as well. All you do is you just motor up towards one of the anchors, taking up the slack obviously in that cable as you're motoring towards it, and just keep the slack taken up in the other cable as well, just so that it doesn't get in your way. When that first anchor's recovered, all you do is you just drop back, and you're now sitting on a single anchor, which you can recover as you normally would. When it comes to an open moor, there's a couple of things that you do need to watch out for. Is your boat right or left-handed, or does it tend to turn to starboard or port when you run astern? Whichever way it tends to go, say for example it goes to starboard, you want to drop that anchor first. The reason being, as you're motoring in, when you take the final bit of headway off before dropping the second anchor, you're going to be running astern, and it's good if the bow turns in the same direction that it's going to be snubbing towards. I don't worry too much about that though, unless the transverse effect is very strong, or the weather forces are particularly weak. Normally you'll find if the weather's strong or something, it's going to overpower any transverse thrust anyway, but it's always something to keep an eye on. The other thing to watch out for is changing weather. If it leads to you swinging around and the weather starts coming from the other direction, your anchor cables are going to twist together. Obviously it's going to make it much harder to get them back, but you're also going to lose the ability to pay out more cable when the weather gets worse. Open moors really can only be used when the wind and the weather are all coming from a consistent direction, say in the mouth of a river or something like that. Otherwise, you're going to want to use one of the other moors, which we're going to get to and cover in other videos. So, that was the open moor. Hopefully this video has helped your understanding and has given you another anchoring technique to try out yourself. For more videos like this, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so that you'll see whenever I post new content. And as always, if there's anything you'd like me to cover, then just leave a comment below any of my videos or consider joining our community on Patreon where you'll be able to message me directly. Until next time, thank you for watching and goodbye.